Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and I'm going to set the tone right off the bat, and I'm going to sell the Tier 10 US Battleship, the Montana. And I am going to take the next 20 minutes to tell you why I did that. First things first, we have the Montana here, and I kind of made the mistake of selling it before I actually recorded the port video that I needed to. This is a skin by Tans, and it's a great looking skin. I had this same skin back in closed beta, and I've been rocking it ever since. And damn, this ship has a fat ass, really. But let's get into some of the statistics here. So, as you might expect, a Tier 10 battleship is going to have a lot of health, and this is no slouch with 96,300 HP. Please don't run Survivability Expert on it. Nobody cares that you have 6 digits of health. It's just a stupid-ass waste of 4 captain's points. But as far as the guns are concerned, the stock rotation speed is 45 seconds for 180 degrees. With Expert Marksman, that gets down to 38.3. It does have a pretty solid AP penetration, the Citadel damage at 13,500, same as the Iowa. And as far as the HE is concerned, it's 5,700 max damage, 36% chance of fire. In practice, I never really experienced anything near that level of fire chance, and I tried. Trust me, I tried. And I've seen some people run an HE build with that. It's pretty interesting, but I never really got the chance to really get behind that. The AA assortment is pretty excellent. It does come at a cost, which I'll go over later, but it's a bit more short range than the Yamatos, which is interesting. And as far as that's concerned, you can really boost this AA up very quickly. Couple modules, couple captain skills, and you're certainly over 100. It does have a stock rudder shift of 22.2 seconds, a turning radius of 950 meters, and a max speed of 28 knots. The Yamato is better, and now granted, what you're seeing here is with the modules and all that stuff, so it's not a direct comparison, so let me help you out there. The stock rudder shift on the Yamato is obviously higher than that, but with the rudder shift module, it's 17.6 seconds, the Montana 17.8. The Yamato has a tighter turning circle at 900 meters, and it's 1 knot slower. That's it. And the Yamato is really no slouch either when it comes to the AA armament, I'll say that much. And of course, when adding up all the modules, you can get, you know, another 40% range out of those guys, and that really does help a lot, because a big part of the AA defense, the AA bubble, is the first set of AA there, the 45 like little single AA guns. They only reach out to 2 kilometers, so the best you can do is get them up to like what, 2.8 kilometers, and that actually does help a lot. But damn, those planes at this tier are so fast. Basically, this is exactly how I would have my Montana set up. All the same stuff as I do the Iowa. The AA range mod, the accuracy mod, rudder shift, and target acquisition, which helps a great deal with such a fat ass ship to be able to try to get any help about seeing, you know, incoming torpedoes. Captain skills are pretty basic, you know, basic fire and training, advanced fire and training, expert marksman, superintendent, and I personally would not bother with any of the tier 5 skills. I would definitely go with basics of survivability, high alert, and or vigilance, just depending on what your arrangement is and what you prefer to do. But those are the core skills, in my opinion, to run with on this. And one last look before things get dirty. Let's get to it, guys. So I pretty much didn't have one single excellent match in this ship in the entire time that I've had it, you know, since actually since the end of closed beta. My best matches were in closed beta. I did terrible in the Yamato in closed beta, and that's basically completely reversed. Even the damage and all that stuff, the win rates, it's actually kind of surprising. But one of the main things about the Montana, and I'm going to mention this a lot of times, you don't close on it. It's a nasty, nasty ship when you're talking about a close range fight. And, you know, the closer the ship is, the more and more dangerous it becomes. But of course, there is a double-edged sword with that, because the fact that if you're that close to be able to deal the damage, well, one, you've probably been getting your ass kicked trying to get to that range, and two, they can most certainly dish it right back out to you, because frankly the armor on this is okay. It's actually not that bad against everything that isn't a Yamato. And unfortunately, you're pretty much always going to face a Yamato because it's a far more popular ship. Now, this poor guy thinks that his HP is going to save him, and great bomb drop by the, I think it was the Essex on their team there. He really helped me out with this fight, but you're going to see how I'm angled and this guy's not, and he's just going nice and broadside for me, and I'm just letting my front turrets do the work, and after I fire off those, I bring my rear turrets, and even though I fired the front, well, 3 of the turrets, and then I got my last one in it right here, naturally I go ahead and lose my Bravo turret, which seems to happen a lot with this ship, but I'm considering that I had half the health that this guy did when we went into this fight. I'm certainly in the better position already, and I'm certainly coming out on top here. You see a lot of Montana players play like that, and it's really dumb. At those ranges, you can kind of get away from the fact that the dispersion, at least for me, and I can explain this again as the video goes on, has been absolutely terrible. This is one of the very best salvos I've ever seen from the Montana. I mean, that is a fantastically tight salvo. And those were penetrating shells, not citadels, of course. But I was really impressed by that salvo, and it's just something that doesn't happen enough. I personally think that this ship, where it lacks the penetration that the Yamato has, should have a higher level of accuracy, you know, just by a small amount. I'm not saying, I'm talking about the single-digit percentages, like, you know, 4 or 5%, like something small, but something that over time, over the course of a match, would certainly help in terms of being able to get the shells on target to do penetrating damage, or obviously best case scenario citadels. This ship is fat, and considering the nerfs that have happened to battleship movements over the course of the last year, it's been pretty interesting to see what happens to, or what has happened to, the Yamato and like ships like the Imagi, which used to be super crazy maneuverable. If you guys never played it in CBT, holy shit, you guys really missed out. They started piling on the turning radius nerfs towards the end, and the rudder shift nerfs as well, which I gotta say, it needed to happen. Maybe not as drastic as it currently is, but you know, it was due to happen one way or another. So, but when it comes to the Montana's dispersion, though, I mean, look at this shit. This is a tier 10, and I mean, I could get better shots with the Kawachi than I could with this damn thing, and it's just, and yeah, naturally stupid targeting crap with the replay there, not showing what I'm actually shooting at. But this is a pretty interesting salvo too, because it's right on his side, and I nailed him with 7 out of 12 shells, but they were strictly penetrating, or, you know, over pens or bounces, whatever the case may be. The Otago over here, not quite as lucky as the Iowa, but to me it feels like there's something severely missing here with the effect that the shells from the Montana have. It's not anywhere near the same level of fear or concern that you have when you're going up against a Yamato. And for people that have been grinding through the tiers and trying to get up to the Montana and, you know, go one-on-one with Yamatos, this is probably the biggest letdown in the game. And there's no reward at all for putting in all of that hard work. You don't get that superiority factor that you do with the Yamato. And this is, unfortunately, a pretty badly placed salvo. I kind of screwed that up. And of course, I finally get some decent dispersion. I mean, look at that. Way better than the other ones, right? Yeah. 8 hits for 5,500 damage. Ugh. This is one of the last matches I played in it, and I was really hoping for some help here, a little bit more help from my teammates. There's a North Carolina behind me that has full health pretty much to the end of the match, and yeah, that's really damn annoying. But one of the best things about the Montana, and obviously the Yamato as well, when it comes to hitting destroyers at this tier, AP or HE, you're going to do a shitload of damage. I mean, assuming you actually hit them, because there was one time on Two Brothers on the other side of this map when I was engaging a couple destroyers. I didn't hit them, like for, I think it was 3 or 4 salvos. I mean, we're talking like 6-7 kilometers away. I could not hit them. And I ripple fired, I broadsided salvos. I couldn't do shit. It was so frustrating, and it blew my mind that, you know, they think that the ship is in an okay spot. Like, I gotta read this quote to you, okay? This'll maybe ruffle some feathers. So this is a very recent Q&A, and apparently it was on the Russian forums or something, and people translated it, whatever. The question was, what do you think about Yamato/Montana balance? After all, Montana is much more vulnerable to Yamato's fire than the other way around. Do you plan to change anything regarding this issue? And this is their answer. Major changes are unlikely. Yamato has better armor and firepower. On the other hand, Montana has better maneuverability, bullshit, AA, and turret configuration, 2+2 triple turrets, which results in greater mass in a single salvo. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, do they even play this game? And before I get into that, I do want to point out that I am prioritizing the Des Moines here because he is the harder target, not the Yamato, and obviously I'm trying to last as long as possible, so I don't want to expose, you know, more on my side to the Yamato, especially since he can pen me anyways. But the Yamato and the Montana are huge liabilities at this tier, and when you're talking about which one is easier to kill, it's going to be the battleships. And this is something that, you know, once I started that video with the Zhao plus teamwork equals OP, I really started to realize that there was no reason at all to bring tier 10 battleships, because Invisifire rules the shit out of battleships. There's nothing they can do about it. There's no counter for them on their own. And, you know, when that means that, you know, you have planes coming in to drop bombs or torpedoes, and then you have, you know, stealth fire torps, and then stealth fired, you know, HE shells, there's no reason to bring a battleship anymore. And, you know, there is a huge patch coming up with, which may end up changing quite a bit at the high tier, but we'll see about that. Now, this is a clip from mid-January, and this is House USSSS, and he's playing the Montana on Ocean. Pretty bad map for that. He did a great job there. Right when he fired, he started pulling away, and this is a habit that you'll see him do as far as trailing his shots across the map, like back over his shoulder almost, to hit these guys, and it makes it much more difficult for them to hit him. And again, good dispersion, gets a nice citadel there. And, you know, a lot of people try to say that the Montana is a great cruiser killer. Not in my experience. Against lower tier cruisers, sure, absolutely. As this Mogami finds out, he takes a fair bit of damage there, and nice job predicting the turn. But it's just, to me, it's not accurate enough. It doesn't have the penetration. Like, you can punch through like a Des Moines armor, but you sure as hell can't do that to a Zhao or a Hindenburg. I haven't really had too much combat experience against them in the Montana, but they have a pretty good bow. Now that's a fantastic salvo. 16,500 with a few pens at that range, again against the Yamato. That's really damn impressive, and that's actually something I'm going to get to in a bit later, that I really think would be the way to balance this ship. And it actually has to do with the New Mexico, curiously enough. But let's just focus on this match though, and you see against another Montana, it actually can bounce some of those shells. Same with the Iowa. You know, if they're not going right along that belt line there, you know, a lot of the superstructure stuff, you're not going to really do all that much damage to begin with. Now, this Yamato decides to get a bit too close, and he's got some good dispersion there. Get some nice hits there as well. So 5 hits total and, you know, 13,000 damage. And while the Yamato is exposing his side here, and you can certainly tell the difference between people who are overconfident and people who are really paying attention to their angling and things like that. This guy is certainly overconfident, much like the Montana in the first clip that I showed you. I mean, that's a lot of damage for any ship to take, 30 to 33,000, and you know, that was perfectly avoidable. If he had turned in, wouldn't have happened at all. But conversely, the front of the Montana is no match for the Yamato's penetration. It can't do it. And you can angle all you want, but eventually you're going to get citadel through the front. And this is actually a pretty solid angle here, but manages to seal the deal against the Yamato. Now he just has a couple Montanas to contend with. And I don't know. I think if the ship had a little bit more durability and just a little bit more penetration, I think that would really help to set it apart from the Yamato and have it be its own niche. And he takes the citadel through the front from the closer Montana, which is actually a pretty big surprise in my opinion. But the Montana shows a little bit too much side and gets returned in kind there on damage, so 22,000 right back at him. And the one in the back actually shoots at somebody else, at one of the cruisers. Really odd target prioritization there. Now, House does lose his C turret, unfortunately, and gets high caliber right there, and he's just weathering the storm, gets another disabled turret, but hits his repair, and this guy's not reacting at all. No turning until it's way too late, trying to keep all of his guns on target, and here come the torps to help save him. Very timely. Now, note the difference in health here between the two of them, right? So he again weathers the storm from that barrage, and he's getting closer and closer, and now this guy is paying a little bit more attention. He doesn't want to take the same damage as his partner did over here as he's sinking. And you know, it gets House gets an overpen along the side, otherwise just bounces, and there he goes. It looks like he was trying to knock out the front turrets there. He aimed up a little bit more, trying to you know, send those salvos right into the front turrets, but another set of bounces, and you know, nothing much happening there as far as his health is concerned. He's maintaining a little bit of an advantage here as far as being able to push in against him and forcing this guy to turn. Now, he does have some fires on him, so that's always a plus, and now so does House. Those secondaries they can really do some work. They're not nearly as good, of course, as the Yamato or the Izumo secondaries with the limited range, but now we're going to get to the sweet spot. See that red line there? That underbelly? That's the best part of a ship to hit. And that's why people say, like, they complain about the turrets all the time. When you catch them in a turn, you can wreck the shit out of them. And at close range, that's one of the best times to do it. And he did quad citadel there, so he ended up with 54,000 damage in that short little salvo. So what's the New Mexico factor here with the Montana? It's that penetrating damage. And I personally don't want the Montana to be like the Yamato. I want it to be like the New Mexico. And I've never wanted the two to be the same, play the same at all. I've never requested that. I've always wanted them to be their own different style with, you know, their own niche. But penetrating damage is, I think, the way for the Montana to be better and actually relevant, and to be rewarding for people. I think it should be a long-term type of ship, as far as you know, all these barrages it sends out. Like, you have to play carefully against it, because over time it's going to completely wear you down, whereas a Yamato should be a much more spiky, peaky type of damage. Like, you come around a corner and there's those 9 18.1-inch barrels staring you in the face from 10 kilometers away, you know you're fucked. You know, your game is over. And you guys can go ahead and put on your tinfoil hats here as I'm in the training room testing out Montana versus Montana. That accuracy does not translate to the actual game. So it begs the question of, what the hell are we actually playing then? Why is it not this accurate? Because if it was like this, I could tell you I wouldn't have sold it. That it certainly wouldn't have been the case at all. I would be a badass cruiser killer, and at close range like this, you know, the close quarter mastery of this ship would certainly come through. 96,000 damage. I mean, this ship is fully capable of one-shotting anything, and this is what I think the developers are thinking, but it doesn't actually translate into the game because well, first off, again, the accuracy difference is wild, but you have to weather a massive storm to be able to get to these types of ranges with this ship. And check this salvo out, by the way. No damage. It can bounce that, so that's actually a pretty good sign. But, you know, thinking about enemy Yamatos, dive bombers, torp bombers, Invisifire, and all the torpedoes that you have to deal with, it just doesn't really have any relevance at tier 10. And check this salvo out. That's just nasty. B-Hummer from the Southeast Asia server just detonating the hell out of an enemy Montana. And so, again, with the Montana, I'm not asking it to be anything like the Yamato. I'm just asking it to be of some relevance. I'm not interested in the USN, IJN, RU bias. None of that shit matters to me. I just want there to be at least some variety at tier 10, and hopefully that's what this upcoming patch will be able to help address, even though it's not addressing what I'm talking about here. I mean, there's a lot of changes coming up, but I mean, Jesus, this upcoming patch is going to be massive, but there's just no real reason to continue after the Iowa. And if you guys are working on the Iowa, don't buy the Montana. Just research it and just wait it out. I don't think that spending the 20 million credits on it is going to be worth your time. And, you know, there are exceptions to it, of course. People have some fantastic matches with it, and, I mean, you've already seen that. But the Yamato's better in every way, and that sucks. You know, you work this hard all the way up through the tiers, and you don't get rewarded for it at all. Or at least, again, in my opinion, you don't. And honestly, maybe that's the way that they finally take notice of it and change something, because if nobody's playing it, they're going to have to do something, right? That, or obviously add a third tier 10 battleship, but that's much later down the line. Anyways, I expect a lot of comments on this one, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching, guys. I'll be streaming around 2:30 to 3 o'clock Eastern today, so feel free to swing by and discuss the video here today, but I'll see you next time, and take care.